Okay, so I'm going to be editing a raw file through Luminar Neo. This is a shot that I took today. I just loaded it up and I'm just going to take you through my step-by-step process of editing the file and see what we can do with Luminar Neo and all of its tools. Now, I'm going to be using a blend of its standard tools, so playing with exposure and things like that. But there's a lot of AI tools that it offers. So I'm going to experiment with those and just show you some of the capabilities that are available when you're editing your images in Luminar Neo. Let's get into it. Okay, so I took this image in my home city of Leeds, and I'm just going to start with some basic editing. I'm going to jump into the Essentials tab, and we're going to hit Develop. So Develop is basically where you're going to find all of your standard editing tools where you can play with contrast, exposure, highlights, darks, things like that. And the first thing I'm going to want to do is just lift the shadows up, because as you can see at the bottom of the image and obviously at the left and right hand side, it's just a little bit dark. So I'm just going to lift those up a little bit for now. I'm going to keep it there. And I'm just going to lower the highlights just ever so slightly, just to give a little bit more of a punch on the building. Now, I'm happy with the crop that I did in camera, so I'm not going to change that whatsoever. What I do want to do, and this is the first kind of AI tool that Luminar Neo is really pushing, is the sky tool. Now, as you can see here, it's a kind of cloudy, dull day, really, but we did have some nice light on the building. So I can swap that sky out completely if I want. And let's just see what our options are. Let's say we want to turn it into a nice bright blue day. So I'm going to just click the option on the second row on the left. I'll just watch that load. Can take a little bit of time when you're editing with the Luminar Neo for some of its tools to get into action. Okay, so as we can see, that's gone a little bit, it's gone blue now. It's gone from a dull grey day. We do have some other options. We have, I'll just show you, just so you know, we can go cloudy sunset, which is pretty cool. We can have starry night sky, which, I mean, it looks cool, but that just takes away from the image completely. We've got more of a warm cloudy sunset here. Okay. So as you can see, we have plenty of options, and I think I'm going to settle on that one. I'm going to settle a nice dark cloud with the sun piercing through as well. Okay. Now I just want to jump back into the develop. I want to add a little bit of contrast to the image. Luminar Neo calls this smart contrast, but I feel like that's a little bit of a buzzword. It just seems like contrast. I'm just going to add a little bit more contrast. So we can actually add sun rays to an image. And so let's see what this looks like. I'm going to take the sun ray tab. I'm going to just add a little bit. So as you can see, it just adds those sun rays in. That's a little bit too much for me. Okay, and you can change how it impacts the rest of the image. So the higher you go on the overall look tab, the brighter things are. And okay, let's stick with that. So far we've messed with the exposure, just made some slight adjustments there with the shadows and the lights. We've added a completely new sky, and we've added a little bit of sun flare in there as well. Now I want to jump down to the mood tab. Now the mood tab just kind of adds a little bit of color to the image. So that Palm Springs, that adds a little bit of purple. We've got Riverside, which seems a little bit subtle in terms of green and oranges. San Diego gives it a very cool blue purpley color. Santa Barbara doesn't seem to do much. It just adds a little bit more darkness to the image. I quite like Long Beach. Okay, so I'm going to select Long Beach. So it's giving it a little bit more of a cinematic vibe, if that's your kind of thing. Now I want to get into some dodge and burning because even though I've brought up the shadows, it's still a little bit dark for me. So I've got the brush tool open and I just want to bring some light. We've got the leading lines in the foreground of the image, but they're not really visible. So I'm just going to do a little bit of light to it, or add a little bit of light to it, sorry. Let's see what, so the strength button doesn't seem to do anything. The amount, okay, so I've got the amount at 100. So that's the maximum we can do with the lighting. So I may have to go back in and do the shadows, bring the shadows up a little bit more. I want to add a little bit of light to the left hand of the image as well. I feel we're a little bit dark here. And the left as well, because we've now got these artificial sun rays coming in. So you would assume in the real world that would add a little bit more light to it. Okay, so we've got a lot going on in the image now. I'm just going to quickly jump back to the develop tab. And I'm just going to bring those shadows up a little bit more. Now, for some reason, the shadows have reset themselves. And I have no idea why. It should, in theory, be exactly where it was when we were last in there. As should the contrast as well. So I'm not entirely sure what's going on there and why it's doing that. Let's have a look. We jump in the color. Okay. So color, I can add a little bit more. Obviously, your standard, you've got your vibrancy. I'm not one to really do much with saturation because I think it looks too artificial. If that, I don't like the look of that whatsoever. And that's not a Luminar Neo thing. That's just saturation in general. So I'm just going to just add a bit more vibrance to it. And a little bit of purple tint as well. I like a little bit of purple in there. There we go. I think we're good on the warmth. Let's try and sharpen it up a little bit. Now, one thing I've noticed is my main subject, which you could argue is the building in the background, is a little bit overexposed. I'm going to bring the dodge tool back again, and I'm going to darken it this time. I'm just going to bring that down. It's a little bit too much, but okay. So if you do a little bit of a before and after at this point, which you can do through the preview button, so you click that little eyeball. So this is what we started with, and this is where we're at currently. Now, I must add, this is my way of showing you what you can do with Luminar Neo. I know there's lots of people that watch this and they like to get really experimental with their edits. I personally, in my own workflow, wouldn't go this heavy. I wouldn't be replacing the sky. I wouldn't be adding the sun rays and all of that. I would be doing very light edits, but that's just my personal workflow. And I know a lot of people aren't like that, and they like to really push the boundaries is what they can do with an editing tool. So that's why I'm wanting to show you exactly what is possible with Luminar Neo. Let's see what else we've got here that we can play with. We've got a tab called Landscape, which is a dehazer. So we've got a dehazing tool. We've got a golden hour tool. Okay, so that adds a bit more warmth to the sky. I like that. We've got a little bit more warmth. Foliage enhancer seems to impact trees. So it's adding a bit more light green to them. Oh, you can change the hue as well. So you can go super green. If you can see, there's some grass that looks far too unreal. So we're going to tone that down a lot. Okay, I think, for what we've got here, this is as far as I want to take this image. I'm just going to put it side by side again. So this is what we started off with. And this is where we went with it with Luminar Neo. So who's this for? Who's doing an edit like this? This is someone at home. This is a hobbyist, an enthusiast who just enjoys firing up their laptop, experimenting with the tools that are available to them. They're not too precious about keeping an image as authentic as possible, like say I am. And they just like to be creative and add a little bit more life and new life, should I say, to a photograph. So yeah, let me know what you think. That's a quick guide through what you can do with Luminar Neo. If you are interested in signing up for it, I'm going to leave a link down in the description. It's super affordable, and again, you don't have to push it with all these tools. You can make edits as light and as heavy as you wish. And yeah, let me know if you like this video. Do let me know in the comments, and please do like and subscribe, and I'll be back with some more photography related content in the next one. Until next time, see ya.